Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. So today I want to show you my Ice Shot Slayer. And the first thing I want to tell you is, no, it does not have to be Slayer. I was just too lazy to level up a new character, okay? It's early league. I just finished the whole Atlas with this, 159. Shaper is down all with this build in this current double 5-flank situation. And I want to go over the builds, the gearing details, maybe even the progression, what I would do next on the build, right? Because I'm going to level up a new character now to push Delves, and I want to have some more beefy character. So this is like, not like, it is a build guide, right? I'm going to go over all the gear, the gems, flasks, and so on. But it's not like the other build guides that I usually do, just because of the lack of currency, right? So there is no 21 gems in here, there is no 6 links in here, there is no expensive stuff. Just a bunch of rare items, like cheap items that everybody can afford at this point as well, right? So for the map showcase, we're just gonna run any kind of like high tier map, maybe Crimson Temple, Wasteland, probably Wasteland, yeah. This is like for the early. This is the one from Kadiro, so if you're wondering, but we're not gonna play with that one. Temp chains suck. I don't want to run temp chains again. Okay, that should be fine. We're just gonna run a flat map, and then we're probably gonna do a delve with it, so you see how the delving is with that character, since it really helps you to gather the maps for the Atlas complete. So, pretty typical playstyle of any kind of bow character, which is like Tornado Shot, all those kind of stuff works the same, right? You have your clearing skill, you have a single target. Ooh, nice empower. You have your clearing skill, which is the Ice Shot. This is in a 5-flank, and there is... The most support gems is not for damage, right? So that's why the damage a little bit suffers on this one, because I'm running like GMP and also Mirage Archer, like all that kind of stuff that makes your clearing a lot easier. And then we run a separate single target setup, which is Barrage, for bosses and hard-hitting packs, right? Or Exiles or whatever. And then we also have the Void Fletcher with the Void Shot that also adds some nice damage on top of your barrage setup, right? So, as you see, not really a big deal here, just running through the maps in a 5-flank, killing stuff off. Blight maps are actually not a big deal. They are not too hard, I would say, but sometimes you probably have encountered those as well if you're playing the League active. Those unique mobs do hit like a truck, and they have so much life, it's actually insane. So I think they have even more life than any kind of Guardian maps. And the reason why I'm using minions here is just because of the challenges where I need to spend like, I think like 200,000 on each kind of type on the tower. So I'm just like here putting my minions down. I know it's not the best thing, I know sometimes it will probably fail. But in the end, I'm getting my challenge done, which is way more important for me than clearing off these Blight maps, because they are not too good in terms of stuff you get out of that, right? But as you see, clear is quite nice, and if there is a mob running through because of the because they're like super tanky or something, you're just gonna shoot them with barrage, and it's really not a big deal. So let's see, nice oils. Let's see if we can find a boss here somewhere, so we can shorten up this map showcase. Like I said, it is going to be a build guide, but it's just like not that detailed as usual that you know from my build guides, just because of the lack of the currency, right? But I'm still gonna try to make it as good as possible. So let's run to the boss here. Should actually be somewhere here. Somewhere. Boss, hello. Hiding. Legit hiding. Oh, nice. Map sustain, GG. That's a good thing if you have your full Atlas clear. Just gonna drop him. Here it is. So I'm using Frost Bomb to give him some debuff and then just barrage him down, basically. I'm just scared that he just one-shots me. But yeah, not a big deal, as you saw. Damage is definitely fine. So let's run a Delve on top of that. Let's go into Delve, because this is when stuff is like very beautiful. If you're rushing through the Delve and everything is like dark and you're just pushing through with the Herald of Ice. So let's see. Yeah, let's just take this one just for a small showcase. Then you so you see how it works out in delving. So as usual, just use your frenzy and just basically run through everything, right? This is currently 78, depth 119, so that's 78. I think it's like tier 11 maps or something. Not even too sure. So, some more Exiles. Just running around or using Barrage. So, it's definitely... I really had a good time with this build, so that's why I can recommend it, basically. And, yeah. That's actually... that was a short delve. Come on. MB, please. Show some delve, and not like a 2-second delve. Holy shit. Let's go another one. So... Frenzy, Blood Rage is on, so we're gonna get our Frenzy charges to get our weapon do more damage, because it stacks with the cold damage. Oh, it looks so beautiful with this Herald of Ice effect. Oh, yes. There you go. Like, if you don't have the Void Fletcher, Void Fletch? Doom Fletch? No, Void... God, how is it called? Void Fletcher. It was Void Fletcher. That makes your projectiles pierce. So without the pierce, it would be better clear, since I would run Chain on top of that, right? And Chain does really have a good clear, but since I don't want to really Val my quiver, just in that case, if it rips, it's shit, you know? But if so, like, if it doesn't rip and you get, like, Fizzes extra, Cold, Fizzes extra, something, so you just get rid of the... how's it called? The projectile pierce, then I would just run chain support and I would have a little bit better clear here. But as you see, even though with a shitty 5-link setup for clearing, you not really have a bad time here. So once you really stuck some currency into this and have some 6 links, you will have a really good time here. So, more killing. There you go. Some fancy drops. Nothing. Okay. So, let's talk about the build itself, the gearing process, and what I would do next to upgrade this character, basically. So, let's start from top to bottom, right? So, I'm having a Star Conscious here because life and crit strike chance, which is nice for any cheap gear in advance, right? I was using a Devotus before, but Devotus gives you movement speed, which is nice, but you don't really have any kind of survivability, no life, no nothing, right? So, goes for 4 Chaos at the moment. This is the price of a falling, so not really hard. Then we have Blink Arrow, Blood Rage, Frost Bomb, and Enhance support. So, Enhance for Blood Rage and the Blink Arrow because the cooldown recovery, just our movement skill, nothing too special over here. And the Frost Bomb because it will give the enemies the cold exposure that applies -25 cold resistance. That means when I'm approaching a boss like Shaper or anything that is surviving longer than a second, I use my Frost Bomb like Guardians. And this will give them a debuff, so my cold damage, my barrage and stuff, since I'm having a shitload of cold conversion, will hit like a truck because enemies are debuffed and they have like less resistance, right? For the bow, I choose to go with the Hope Shredder. This is just because I'm a Slayer, okay? I'm using Overleech. That means when I kill something, I have the next 5 seconds, I'm like capped, right? I'm not getting degen from Blood Rage, I'm not getting degen from the Hope Shredder. So if you're not Slayer, if you're dead, what would probably be the better decision, or maybe Raider, then I would probably not take Hope Shredder because the degen will probably kill you quite fast if you don't have enough leech, right? Therefore, you can take a Death Opus. This is the weapon that I was using before that one. That just gives you a lot of physical damage. Since we're converting the physical damage, it's quite fine. And we get additional projectiles, which also ends up in more projectiles for the Void Fletcher, the Void charges, right? So really nice there. Going with Ice Shot, added cold damage, Mirage Archer, GMP, and elemental damage with attack skills. And the next link would be Hypothermia to round up the 6th link, what I don't have yet. But anyways, like, Hope Shredder is a nice weapon if you're Slayer, if you can handle the degen effect that you're having once you're having your Frenzy charges. But other than that, like, any multi-modded bow would come in very handy, especially the dex stacking, like the Shaper base, where you get like 2 to 4 per 10 dex, like cold damage, right? So this is what you want to use for endgame. For the quiver, as I said, Void Fletcher in this case, it's about first of all, you're getting cold damage to attacks, which is essential on this build to just stack your cold damage. But the Void Fletcher has some very, very nice special here. You're stacking up those Void arrows, right? And if you look closely, there is this explosion here, right? So this is the Void arrow. So every time it stacks up to 5, every 0.5 seconds you get one of these charges. And the more arrows you have, let's say I have a Dying Sun, when I have it active I get +2 additional projectiles, right? So I would shoot 3 of those dudes, right? So there are builds that are fully focusing on the Void Fletcher, going as many projectiles as possible. A Dying Sun adds like 2, right? Death Opus adds like 2. Then you have the Dead Eye Ascendency, which gives you another arrow, right? So you're having like 2, 4, 5, 6 Void shots. So you use it once and you're bouncing off those Void shots and they do an insane amount of damage, right? And if you're using Barrage, so now if I'm using Ice Shot, you see that I'm just having almost every time when I shoot, I get one of those Void Missiles until they are down to 0, but you need to shoot quite long to get them down to 0. Unless you use Barrage, where you have a lot of projectiles, you're going to see that this stacks up pretty fast, and there you have all your 5 stacks here, and this is a massive single target burst you're going to have here, right? So this is super nice for your clearing on top of that, right, of your Barrage. So let's talk about the Barrage. I'm having a chest, it's High-Risk Ire, which gives you a shitload of cold damage to bow attacks. This is a cold-based build. This chest will give you a shitload of damage. Having in here Barrage, then Cold Pan, ally damage with attacks, added cold damage, and slower projectiles, right? 6-link would be the Hypothermia, which I don't have access to. Talking about the belt, we have the Nomad. The Nomad is a belt that I used on my Impale Tornado Shot. It gives you all resistance and projectile attack damage, strength, dexterity, global fist damage, increased flask charges gained. Pretty nice. Just make sure that you have more than 200 strength and more than 200 dexterity. Dexterity should never be a problem on your bow builds. Strength can be a problem, but you could use, like, I was killing up to the top side of the Slayer just to get the life notes to be a little bit more tankier, and I'm gathering enough strength notes, so I didn't even have to take any of the 30 strength notes over here, and I was still more than capped on this one. Pretty nice belt, pretty cheap, 40 chaos or so, 35, not a big deal at all. So, the rest of the items, oh wait, Mark of the Elder, pretty cheap investment for quite nice damage. You have increased max life, you have cold damage to attacks, exactly what we need, and the percentage increased attack damage if your other ring is a Shaper item. This is why the other ring is a Shaper item. Mark of the Elder currently goes for 30 chaos, right? So, sorry. In a couple of days, like 2 or 3 days from now, they're probably gonna end up being like 5 chaos or even less, because more and more people will be able to kill Uber Elder, and this is one of his most dropped uniques, so the market will get flooded of that one anyway, so that's why the price at the moment is a little bit more expensive, just because not a lot of people are farming Uber Elder at the moment. So the other ring, or at least like the other items, talking about the amulet, the ring, boots, and gloves, are just life resistance, right? Here, life resistance. Here we have life resistance, a little bit movement speed. Here, life resistance, like nothing too special on those rare items, right? Talking about the gems, I have here Hatred, then cast damage taken level 1 with the Steel Skin and the Precision. So these are my auras, right? And the other one is an Herald of Ice with Curse on Hit, Assassin's Mark to get those power charges, and Onslaught, so some better clearing speed. So once your Herald of Ice shatters and it kills something else, you're gonna get Onslaught on top of that, which is very, very nice, because you get 20% movement speed and also attack speed. So these are my auras. I'm having Precision level 1, Hatred, and Herald of Ice for the clearing and for the damage output. Really nice. So, what else do I have to talk? Flask. Basically, my Flask setup is shit, okay? I have a pretty bad Quicksilver Flask, an Onslaught Flask, which is not really mandatory. I just have it for the bleed immunity, because I get Onslaught from my Assassins, or at least from my Herald of Ice proc here with the Onslaught support. A Diamond Flask, since it's a crit build, freeze immunity, and this is something I had laying around because I had nothing else. So what I would like to have, a Dying Sun, right? Additional projectiles, super nice. Then an Aether's Promise, extra Fist as Chaos, extra Ally as Chaos damage, Chaos Leech, super nice. You should have actually bought this one before getting to Guardians and Shaper. That boosts your DPS quite a lot, but I really spent every single Chaos today to buy off the last maps, buying the Guardian maps, Val Temple map, Shaper, blah blah blah. You know, it's just like I invested today a lot in getting this Atlas clear. So that's why I didn't really bother with this one. I would still go with a Diamond Flask, then probably a Cinder Swallow Urn would be nice. If you really have the currency, the Flask that comes from the Synthesis, the Crit Flask, I forgot the name about from that. But this is probably unaffordable anyways at the moment, right? Probably if there is one on the market, they're probably going for a couple of Exalts just because it's so rare and it's so strong, right? Then Life Flask is always nice to have, and yeah, whatever you need in terms of utility here, right? So, in terms of skill tree, as I said, I'm a Slayer. You don't need to be Slayer. You can be anything else. That I would probably be even a better choice, or Raider, or Pathfinder, or I don't know, like Scion. You have so many options on this one. From the skill tree here, just like Frenzy charges all over the place. This one is important, the Winter Spirit and the Weapon Cold damage, because those two will give you 20% Fist to Cold conversion each, right? So we have a 40%, and the skill itself says 60% conversion. So 60, 80, 100% cold conversion for our Ice Shot, which is super nice. The rest is just like bow skills here, right? Then Phase Acrobatics for another layer of defense, Life Notes, another Frenzy Charge, Life Notes, Damage Pen. Then here, Fangs of Frost is really nice because you get cold penetration and cold damage with attack skills. Basically the cold version of the Lava Lash. And then I just went up here to get some more life notes over here, and I didn't really have a jewel slot over here. Bad MBX. There you see how budget this character is. I used to skip all of that life notes and go over here, take this jewel slot here, take in a Lionized Fall, and scale down here Claws of the Hawk and the Soul Raker. Because the Lionized Fall will convert all the notes in the melee notes in area into bow notes. So what you can take is all of these claw notes, the crit multiplier, all you get for bow. And then I also would take the From the Shadows, because this will give you facing on kill, right? This is really nice for mapping, especially. The next process will be going up here, taking Lethal Assault, Cold-Hearted Calculation down to Assassination, Trickery, Blood Siphon, and Coordination. So the path of building link of this build is in the description below, as always. On terms of the Ascendency, so I always rush when I'm playing Slayer. I always rush the Brutal Fervor because of the Overleech, because it gives you a nice quality of life there. Then I would go for the Headsman probably, and then Overwhelm. The reason why I don't have Overwhelm at the moment, and I have Bane of Legends for the 20% Culling Strike and the halfway Onslaught there, is I don't really have access to too many crit multiplier nodes, so my crits do not do so much damage at the moment. And on top of that, since I'm not having the best damage at the moment, as I said, I think the 20% Culling Strike on Shaper, on Guardians, and so on, this is like a lot, right? So let's say a Minotaur, I don't know, I think like 18 or 12 million life, right? So Bane of Legends, just a Culling Strike 20% will be like a 2 million hit with one single projectile, which is like super nice to call off these bosses here, right? Okay, for the Bandits, I helped Elira because this is a crit build, so we get the multiplier and the all resistance. For the Pantheons, not even upgraded yet, I went with Solaris at the moment and Gridcold just for some more layer of defense. Then for the MTX, if we're gonna check here, we have the new Sentinel Overload. This is the new supporter pack that got released with this league. With the Void Wings, so we have the Sentinel Overload Helm, then the body armor, gloves, and boots. Celestial character effect with the Celestial Footprints. We have the Arctic Crystal Bow with the Celestial effect. And that's about it with the Transcendent Portal effect. So for Mirage Archer, we have the Stygian. Then Blink Arrow is Mystic Blink Arrow. Then we have pretty much Monolith Arrow effect from the last league, Celestial Arrow effect, and the Herald of Ice Celestial MTX for Herald of Ice, which, yeah, is really nice. So there's another MTX that I'm struggling with that is also very nice, because it's a very sweet shattering sound when you are hitting those mobs, right? It's like, I think I really like the sound, right? But if you want to get even better on that one, you take Automaton, that's like the hentai version, and you have some, but even some better sounds in terms of clearing skill. But for me, I don't know, like, for Herald of Ice, the Celestial one, this blue one with the circles, I think this is just the most beautiful Herald MTX they have ever released. It's like really, really solid and, yeah, satisfying. So I think that's it. I think we talked about anything, right? About the gear, the gems, enchantments, obviously not really accessible at the moment, but I would probably go for the additional arrow for Barrage, because single target is what we worry about more than the area of the clear here. Then probably movement speed if you haven't been hit recently, damage leech this life and mana maybe, then increased attack and cast speed could be something, glove enchantment doesn't really matter at all. Then we talked about the Flask, the substitutions for that, the cosmetic, the Pantheons, the Bandits and Pantheons, yeah. MTX. And yeah, I think that's well rounded up this build guide here, at least this try to make a build guide, because as I said, usually my build guides are more in-depth with min-max characters to show you Uber Elder and stuff, but since it's like day 5 on the league, and I'm still having done all the Atlas already, and currently farming up to the Uber Elder, I think for now, this is just a showcase on how this build works out for me. So guys, thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, see you on the next video.